This was supposed to be the speech that explained everything. A nation at war, a global crisis escalating, an economy under pressure, and finally answers. Instead, the world got confusion. Words repeated, sentences stumbled, and a war with no clear end in sight. When Donald Trump stepped up the podium in the White House for a rare primetime address, millions were watching, but by the end of it, one question remained. What exactly is the plan? So let's watch the clip.
In these past 4 weeks, our armed forces have delivered swift, decisive, overwhelming victories on the battlefield. Victories like few people have ever seen before. Tonight, Iran's Navy is gone. Their Air Force is in ruins. Their leaders, most of them, terrorist regime they led, are now dead. Their command and control of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps is being decimated as we speak. Their ability to launch missiles and drones is dramatically curtailed, and their weapons, factories, and rocket launchers are being blown to pieces. Very few of them left. Never in the history of warfare has an enemy suffered such clear and devastating large-scale losses in a matter of weeks. Our enemies are losing.
This wasn't just any speech. It interrupted scheduled programming across the United States. Every major network stopped what they were doing because this was supposed to be the moment where the president would finally explain why the war with Iran started, outline the strategy, and most importantly, tell the American people when it would end. For weeks, pressure had been building. The war, it launched suddenly in late February, had already disrupted global oil markets, sent fuel prices soaring, and shaking confidence both at home and abroad. Public support was dropping, markets were unstable, all eyes were on this speech. Then it started, standing in the White House foyer, reading from prepared remarks. Trump began speaking. At first, it sounded familiar, too familiar, because much of what he said, it wasn't new. In fact, large parts of the speech echoed his own social media posts, almost word for word. And that was the first sign something wasn't right. This wasn't a roadmap, it was repetition. As you saw, as the speech continued, the contradiction began to stack up. At one moment, Trump claimed the war was nearing completion, but moments later, he warned of more intense strikes in the coming weeks. Think about that. If the war is almost over, why escalate? If victory is so close, why prepare for more conflict? Even analysts struggled to make sense of it because there was no clear timeline, no defined object, no exit strategy, and perhaps most concerning, no consistency. Then came one of the most critical parts of the speech, the Strait of Hormuz, one of the most important oil routes in the world. It's a choke point through which nearly a fifth of global oil supply passes, and right now, it's effectively blocked. That alone has sent shockwaves through the global economy. Oil prices rising, inflation increasing, markets reacting worldwide. Yet despite this, Trump offered no clear solution. Instead, he suggested that other countries should take responsibility for reopening it. Not the United States, not the country leading the war, others. And just like that, more questions than answers. But it wasn't just what was said, it was how it was said. Viewers quickly noticed something unusual. Words stumbled, pronunciation faltered, key terms like enemies and Venezuela was mispronounced, and at times the speech felt disjointed, almost as if the message itself was struggling to come together. And in a moment, that demanded clarity. What people saw instead was uncertainty. But here's the bigger issue. Strip away the delivery, strip away the contradiction, and one fact remains. There is still no clear end to this war. Despite claims of progress, despite claims of success, the reality is far more complicated. Iran still has military capability, regional tensions are rising, proxy conflicts are intensifying, and perhaps most importantly, the core object, stopping Iran's nuclear ambition, may not even be fully achieved. So, what does nearing completion really mean? No one knows. This isn't just an American issue, this is global. The Iran war has already disrupted international trade, increased energy costs worldwide, triggered instability across Europe and Asia, and if the Strait of Hormuz remains blocked, the consequences could escalate even further, because when energy prices rise, everything rises: food, transport, cost of living. This war is being felt everywhere. In the US, pressure is mounting. Critics on both sides of the political spectrum have raised concerns: lack of transparency, conflicting messages, no clear strategy. Polling shows declining support for the war, and this speech, instead of reassuring the public, it may have done the opposite, because when leadership is unclear, confidence disappears. And this brings us to the most important question of all. What is the actual goal? Is it regime change, military deterrence, economic pressure, or something else entirely? Even within the administration, the message has been inconsistent, at times denying regime change and at other times hinting at it. And when goals aren't clear, neither is the outcome. So where does this go from here? There are few possible scenarios: escalation, more strikes, more conflict, more instability; stalemate, a prolonged war with no clear resolution; sudden withdrawal, a declaration of victory without full resolution. And based on the speech, all three still seem possible. This was supposed to be the speech that brought clarity. Instead, it raised more questions than answers. A war described as nearly over, yet still expanding. A strategy that remains undefined in a conflict that continues to reshape the world. And a message that left millions wondering what happens next. Because one thing is certain, this isn't just about Iran anymore. This is about global stability. And right now, that future looks more uncertain than ever. If you want a real breakdown of global events without the noise, subscribe now, because the world is changing fast and you need to understand it before it's too late.